In today's video, I'm going to be drawing this fun little graffiti letter M. I love doing these. They're great for artist trading cards. They're great for practicing colors, designs, backgrounds, all sorts of things. There's just a lot of benefit to doing these. Hi, I'm Rashonda. I'm the creator of this YouTube channel as well as the artbyro.com website where you can find over 230 art and drawing tutorials. I hope you'll join me today over in the art studio to do this fun little graffiti drawing. So let's head on over there now. All right, let's make a graffiti style M. So like usual, we can start out with some guidelines. So in this case, we're just going to have our letter just a single. I want to angle this a little bit more than I had it. We're just going to draw an M, but what I'm doing while I'm drawing this is thinking about how I want the letter positioned. I want it to be kind of interesting. I want to put some extra little bits on the top. So I want to think about how the letters are going to look as far as I want this side to be a little higher and a little longer. This one's going to come down a little bit this way and be a little bit shorter. And then from there, we can start fleshing this out a little bit. So I want it to come down and get wider at the bottom, kind of flared out a little bit. That's going to make it look a little bit more interesting. And we can kind of work this out as we go along. This is going to come down. I'm going to have a little piece at the bottom. Give it a little bit of width down there. And then this side, I want to be longer. And I'm intentionally making these come a little bit closer together down here. I'm going to flare this out at the bottom again. All these little things are going to change the overall look and feel of your drawing. And we're using that original M that we did with just the single width line. We're using that as our guide. And I want this to come up here. I'll bring that across. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just to add a little something there at the top. And then once you have that drawn out, you can erase some of this extra stuff so you can see what's going on a little bit better. And then from there you can change things up if you want to. So maybe we want to bring this down a little bit longer, like that. So you can make some small little adjustments if you want. I don't think any of it's super critical to what we're doing as long as it looks like an M, unless you're going for more of a, what they call that, the wild style. That's a little harder to read. But if we're just doing just a standard letter, our main goal is just to make it look like what it's supposed to be, which is a letter M, and then make it look kind of interesting and not, we don't want it just to be plain and boring and not have anything going on with it. So now let's go to the next step, which is going to be to add an outline. I'm just going to use my outlining pen. You can use a marker for this. I'm using black. Of course, you don't have to use black. You could use whatever color you want. So we're just going to add an outline onto this. And there's really quite a bit you can do with the outline itself. You can make the outline thick, you can make it thin, you can vary your line widths, You could add a 3D effect to your letters. You could add a drop shadow, which maybe we'll do that on this one. But first I'm just going to start out by adding just a regular outline to it. And then from there, what I like to do is use a little bit thicker pen and make this a little bit wider. Let me go ahead and work on this outline for a bit here, and I'll be back with you when I have that finished.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is...
I got the outline all finished. I thickened it up a little bit. Now, of course, you could use like a black marker for your outline. I prefer to use the pen because it makes a darker and sharper line. I like the way the lines look better with the pen than with the marker, but you could do yours with a marker if you choose. So now the next step is going to be to add some color. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to pick out a color palette to use for this, and I'll be back with you when I have that decided and ready to go. So I like to try different things when I do these graffiti letters. So I love doing the individual letters. It gives you something quick and easy to play around with, try out different ideas. So what I'm thinking about doing is a grayscale inside the lettering, and I'm not sure exactly what I want to do on the outside for the background, but I'm thinking about putting this border in here. It's going to get a little tight in that area. So what I'm thinking is maybe add in this inner border with black, and then doing the letters themselves in gray, the inside, and then maybe doing something nice and colorful for the outside. And then maybe in here we can do, maybe we'll cut that off there. And then do where these would be separated. Do something like that there. And we could do it on the other side, or maybe do some gradient on that side. We could add some little designs in here. Break this up a little bit. So as I was saying earlier, these individual letters are really good for trying different things out, experimenting. And actually, when I started doing the individual letters, it was when I was trading artist trading cards, which is what I'm working on today. It's an artist trading card. When I was actually making trades with people, I would do a letter of either their first name or last name, and I would include it as a little bonus card Just something to kind of personalize it a little bit. When you're making trades with people, it's pretty common that you'll get some extra stuff in there. Sometimes it's little pattern papers or stickers or something, just to show your appreciation to the person for trading with you. If you've never made artist trading cards before, if you've never traded them, it really is a lot of fun. It's pretty cool to get the mail, and there's some little miniature artwork in there from somebody from any place in the world, depending on who you're trading with. It actually makes getting the mail enjoyable instead of just bills. So I'm just going to add just a couple little areas there with the black. And then I have a couple of gray markers that I picked out. And we're just going to do some little gradients and see how that looks. My thought with this is to add some little areas of some gradation in here. So maybe going this way. Usually when I do these, I don't have them all planned out beforehand. I like to just go with whatever I'm feeling at the moment. And again, that's why I love doing them on this smaller scale with the individual letters. It really gives you a lot of freedom to experiment and try something new. Push yourself a little bit where maybe you would not be as comfortable if you're doing a big full-size piece like in your sketchbook or on good paper. Something you're spending hours on, it's going to be a lot harder to try something different and experiment. And then even though it's an individual letter, it still is going to be a finished work of art when we're done, especially once we get the background all added in. That's not too bad. That's kind of a fun little effect going on. Now you could go darker, where I'm using the grays. We could definitely put darker gray in there, or even to go completely black. But I am going to stick with the gray. So I think I'll do the same thing down this way, and then what I'll do is go around that shape. And maybe just fade this up, or I might have them fade into each other again, like how I did those. And another nice thing about doing something like this is, especially if you're experimenting a little bit and trying different things out, you learn more about whatever medium you're using. So in this case, I'm using markers, but it will get you more familiar with them and how the colors work together, how they blend, how they overlap. how they darken up when you layer them. So there's a lot of different things you can learn just by doing these little individual letters. This is usually how I work with the markers. I'll just keep going back and forth with them, adding them up as I go, layering, and then just using the lighter marker to blend where the two meet. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in a time lapse, I think, so you don't get too bored watching me do the same things over and over again. So I'll be back with you when I have all of that finished.
I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I like to be away in my patience. Stay up, I feel so outdated. How can we look the other way? Sun is out, but the sky is gray. What would happen if I took a chance? It's always hard at first glance. I don't wanna, but I know I gotta do it. The truth is hard to swallow. I think I'll chew it.
I got the marker all done on the inside, and I decided to play around with a little bit of a drop shadow just to see if I think I want to go with that or not. So what I'm thinking is going to the bottom and to the right. Add a little bit up here. I think we'll go ahead and do that just to add a little something extra to it. And then that'll get filled in with black. This will pretty much all be filled in with black. And we'll fill this in. And then we need to decide what to do for the background. And of course, there's just so many different things that you can do. It's really only limited by your own imagination. But I'm thinking, since we did the gray in the letter, something nice and colorful in the background. And you could do just a solid background. You could do a brick wall, is always a good go-to for backgrounds. You can do geometric designs. You could do just some line work back there. So it kind of depends on, I guess you'd say, the vibe you're going for with your letter, with your artwork you're making. If you're doing it for a specific individual, I like to think about their personality or their interests and to do something that fits with them. make it more a personalized design. But if you're just doing it just for something to do, if you just want to be creative, there's really no limit to the opportunities you have. So I think that adds a little bit to the letter, makes it look a little bit more interesting. All right, so I'm going to take a quick break and I will be back when I'm ready to do the background. I went ahead and picked out some colors for the background. So what I have, I'm thinking of going with a bright pink and then kind of a bluish teal kind of color for the background. So I think what I'm going to do is draw, I call them halos. I don't know what the technical term would be for them. But just this outside ring of color. And you can do this with a pencil first, or if you want, just go in with your pens and markers, whatever you feel comfortable with. So what I'm thinking is fill that in with the bright pink. And then what I have is just a regular Bic marker, and then I have a Sharpie pen that I can outline it. This is just a thin little outlining pens. I like these Sharpie pens. I do not care for the Sharpie markers, but I do like the Sharpie pens. So this will just give me a little bit of a outside border to it. It's a little bit crisper and darker than what the marker is going to be. So it just frames it in a little bit. And you can go over this a little bit, make it thicker, go over it a few times, widening it, making it wider and more visible. Or you can let it just kind of blend in with the markers, whatever floats your boat. And we can clean up those pencil lines real quick with the big eraser. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is fill in this inside area all around here with the pink. And then I'm going to use this blue, kind of turquoise color, to fill in the rest of it. And then maybe use the thin marker, make some little designs, some lines in here. But I'm going to go ahead and do that on a time lapse because I'm just going to be filling in some areas. And I'll be back with you when I have that done.
I like to be away in my patient. Stay up, I feel so outdated. How can we look the other way? Sun is out, but the sky is gray. What would happen if I took a chance? It's always hard at first glance. I don't wanna, but I know I gotta do it. The truth is hard to swallow, I think I'll chew it. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed.
I have everything all filled in. So now I'm thinking I might do some kind of designs in the background with this little bit darker blue. So I'm thinking maybe just some lines going through. The only thing I don't really love about these markers is they're kind of fuzzy. That's why I like the pens for the outlines more than the markers, because they absorb into the paper a little bit. And it makes that fuzzy outline instead of the outline being nice and crisp. So I'm thinking just some random lines going through. And again, that's why I like playing around with the artist trading cards. I like that they don't take a ton of time. They're a little quicker. So I can play around with this. If I try something and I don't like it, or maybe I try something and it triggers some other ideas, then I can go ahead and do another one and see how that one works out, and just really gives you the freedom to try different things and experiment. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this easy, quick little graffiti letter M, and hopefully you feel inspired to create some of your own artwork. And I will see you next time. Happy creating! That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you feel inspired to create some of your own artwork. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to get notified of future videos. And I will see you next time. Bye!